Today's episode is about discovering how embracing your identity with pride and self respect will transform your life.
Hey, this is Stef, and welcome to the Together Moving Forward podcast.
A podcast helping 2S LGBTQI people embrace self love and self respect so you can celebrate yourself with pride. By the end of this episode, you'll discover how embracing your identity can help you become a more confident and authentic parent. Why self respect and healthy boundaries are essential for building a strong, loving family. And how pride, representation, and community empower LGBTQ families to thrive and inspire the next generation. Today's conversation is about discovering how embracing your identity with pride and self respect can transform your family, your relationships, and your life. Hello again, I'm Stef and I'm a human being. Welcome back to the Together Moving Forward podcast. Embrace your 2S LGBTQI identity with pride through self love. No matter where you stand in the 2S LGBTQI spectrum, we are all connected. And if you ever struggle to fully love and respect yourself, you're not alone. And this podcast is here to help you. As someone who has navigated my own journey of self acceptance as a queer, I know the power of hearing voices that reflect our experiences. In this podcast, you'll hear real stories and conversations that leave you with practical tools, fresh perspectives, and the confidence to embrace who you are with pride. To start, I need to say that I'm not a psychologist, a specialist, or someone with a college degree. I'm just a regular guy here to share with all of you and support each other. I will share my journey, and we will all share journeys together. We learn from each other how to move forward. Today's guest is Jameel Mayers, the host of Fathernetics, a podcast dedicated to sharing the diverse experiences of LGBTQ fathers. In this conversation, we discuss identity, pride, parenting, and the lessons fatherhood teaches us about self respect and authenticity. Jamel, thank you so much for being here with me today, and welcome to the Together Moving Forward podcast.
I am excited to finally connect with Steph. As Steph will probably tell you, we've tried a couple of times, and it was my fault that we weren't able to connect. But here we are today. We were going to make it happen, and I think that's just a testament to your ability to be persistent and patient with me. So thanks for bringing me on your show.
Well, I was on your show, and I had the privilege to be on your show, which is really cool, but we'll talk about it later. Actually, we'll go with in the first question. Your podcast, Fathernetics, explores modern fatherhood through an LGBTQ lens. Can you share your personal journey and how becoming a father shaped your identity?
So let me tell you, the genesis of Fathernetics ties in well with fatherhood. I was, as most LGBTQ couples are excited when they finally make the decision to expand their family, right? And they walk right up to that edge and go, "Oh my God, what is this?" Right? Because our journey is a lot different, right? It requires a lot of mental fortitude, planning, spreadsheets and talking to 10,000 people and finding out if your bank account can even support your ideas of where you're trying to go. So when I started my fatherhood journey, I wanted to find a podcast, a book, some sort of resource material, or even another individual, right, that could say, "Hey, here's how I did it from an LGBTQ perspective." There are
Mhm.
tons of straight stuff out there, right? You could read that until the cows come home. But my experience, I've learned, and many have learned, the LGBTQ experience in almost any setting is different. It has so many nuances that we need to care for. So when I didn't find that, I decided to start a podcast. And on my podcast, we pull fathers on and we talk about what their journey is. And every single story is different. And what I'm able to do now that I'm a dad of a 13-year-old, newly minted 13-year-old, so I've got a teenager in the house now, right?
Ooh.
Is is to really start to identify, you know, where I started, where I am now, the kind of person that I've become now being a dad, which is really
Mhm.
taking a lot of intentional activities to raise him, but to also raise myself because you have to change. You can't stay rigid as a dad. If you don't change, you're going to break. or they're going to
Mhm.
break you, should I say. So it's been an amazing journey. It continues to be an amazing journey. I love being a dad. There are tremendous milestones, obstacles, struggles, but they're all worth it in the end. This is the long game, guys.
Yeah, what you just said is so true. And did you find that the straight people, like if you have friends that are straight, couples that have kids, were trying to tell you a little bit how to raise your child? Did you have that? Like I had that a little bit, but it was my fault because I told them, it's my first child and it's our first child. So if you have any advices, you can tell me. But it was kind of a little mistake I found a little bit later on. But did you have to go through that or?
So we did not, and I don't know whether this was intentional or not, but we typically don't ask for parenting advice from people. And the reason why is because fairly early on we identified that our son, had ADHD and a couple other things that needed additional care, and we had to learn it ourselves,
Mhm.
right? So asking people for parenting advice, they would give us one that was based on neurotypical designs, right? You can't approach a neurodivergent child with neurotypical designs. Those don't work. You'll frustrate yourself as an adult. So we had to learn ourselves these diagnoses, how they work, how to kind of unravel those. And I mean, we're still doing that today. That's a lifelong journey.
Mhm.
But unless that individual, that adult has gone through that experience, they won't be able to understand those nuances. So we did go out seeking advice. Hey, what would you do in this instance? What would you do in that instance? We kind of learned it ourselves, trained ourselves up, if you will. We're not experts. And then we tried A didn't work. We tried B, now we're down to like P and S and T. We're trying all the
Mhm.
different letters. And I think that is being a dad in itself. You have to try all the letters. And then when you get down to Z, then you go back to A because now it's a different time and A is different. so, so we just try our best to be as nimble and patient where possible. Sometimes that's a challenge in itself too.
I love what you just said, and I mean, we had to learn the hard way a little bit because I think we were lacking a little bit of confidence at first. Like you said at the beginning of the interview, we jump in and we're like, after like a few seconds, you're like, oh my god, like what am I doing? Like I don't know what I'm doing. So I think we were a little bit scared. So, but we learned along the way to really do what our instincts was telling us to do, and then we realized that my god, we are really good dads, you know. But at the beginning we had to learn to let go of what other people would suggest, but then it was our fault because we did say that we wanted help. But and also with our child, we have ADHD and all that, but that made us realize that we are also ADHD, me and my husband. So we had to,
Oh, the whole family.
the whole family is. So we had to learn to deal with each other, and yet to
That's
really,
almost a good thing because you
yeah,
know what you're
yeah,
you're dealing with, and it kind
exactly.
of gives you an hint. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, but we got tested, me and my husband, just lately, like when we had our child, because we knew there were some problems. I mean, at school and everything when we were growing up, but we just kind of got used to it and found ways to get by. But because we went back to school, both of us, me and my husband, in so many times, and then we had our son that was ADHD, like the most severe, kind of.
I mean,
And
why not?
and so I mean, and then we're reading about it, and then we're like, oh my god, we're the same. We exactly we there's so many things that are the same. So we learned, and we're still learning as a family,
Hmm.
to deal
Hmm.
with that. But we understand each other so much more now, and it works out. It works out perfectly. But it's like I mean, it's quite the environment at home sometimes, but it's all good. That's part of the journey. It's all good.
It's lively. Why would you want a
Yeah.
boring child, right? And
Oh,
especially ADHD has so many negative connotations. It's really just a different way of looking at the world that a lot of people refuse to try to understand in the wider spectrum because they just see it as being different.
Yeah, exactly. How did becoming a father change the way you see yourself and learn to love yourself more authentically? I can't wait for you to say what you have to say about that.
Well, fatherhood has changed the way I look at myself because now I feel like I'm always an example, right?
Mm,
In the podcasting world, I do feel like I'm representing, even though that's not my desire, right? Because I want to showcase other dads and their story, but I feel like I am representing what a parent or an adult or a human should be in the social media space and on the global stage, because podcasts like yours reaches people on all four corners of the world. But we have to show up with a certain level of integrity to have people understand that we're serious about what we're trying to put out there. We want to be fun, right? We want to connect, we want to have a good time, but this is a serious approach of trying to make sure that representation absolutely matters. And I think in the very small space that we call home, representation still matters. So I recognize that, how I show up with my emotions, how I show up with this with decisions and things of that nature will always need to continue to change and be reevaluated, which is something different. I didn't have to do that before kids. I
yeah,
just pick a lane and I'm like, this is where I'm at. And then when you have a kid, they're like, well, why'd you pick that lane? Well, why is there a lane? How do you get a lane? Where do lanes come from? So it's like, oh my God. Like I never had to think about any of that stuff. And now you have to be very intentional about what you say, what you watch on TV, how you say it. Are you saying no just to say no, or is there a reason to say no?
yeah,
You know, are you changing the TV at the point where gay people are kissing and leaving it when straight people are kissing? I mean, that sends signals, right? Because we all
yeah,
grew up with that,
yeah.
right? So it's a matter of intentionality. I think me as an adult, as with most gay people, we're more intentional about what we expose our kids to. What we're trying to say, this is okay, but it's okay in this format, in this way. This is how we see these things. We don't have to run from it. Let me explain it to you, which my parents did a great job of doing. But again, there's that LGBTQ nuance that my
Hmm.
parents would never have been able to explain to me, which I now can do for my kid. Which I want to make sure it's clear: we're not indoctrinating our kid, right? We're
No,
not trying to make him gay. We're trying to make sure that he is accepting of the differences in this world. Everybody has their own unique spin on who they want to be and have every right to do that. So I think, again, me being a parent and how I exist in this world is a lot more visual for
hmm.
me because he's watching everything I do, even when I think he's not.
Yeah. Okay, I have a funny story. When we told our friends, our straight friends, that we were going to have a child, we were talking about that, like the LGBTQ plus, side and everything. And then I said out of the blue, well, if our kid tells us he's straight, we're going to have to kick him out of the house because we just cannot deal with that. And everyone would just look at us and say, are you crazy? Like, do you hear what you're saying? But then I would say, well, this is what a lot of people from our community are hearing from their own parents. So when you turn things around, it's like, oh, now they get it. They get that, oh, I understand now what maybe you had to go through or what's going on in your community. So when you just turn things around, and I think it was such a, I don't know, it was such a funny way to express, how we feel and what's going on really sometimes in the world, because I still get today, well, see, now there's no more problem with your community. You got married, you have your child. I mean, what are you complaining about? And it's not like that. There's a reality that we have to deal with still every day. Like, do you feel that sometimes outside of the world, or how do you
Absolutely.
guys deal
Well,
with
okay.
that?
So here's a good example here in the United States this year specifically because we're under a very specific presidential
Yeah.
glare, if you
Mm.
will. June, which is Pride Month, it has not been, but they're trying to rebrand it from a government federal perspective as Fidelity Month
Yeah.
here in the United States,
Yeah.
right? what does that even mean? Like, okay, so I mean, I always think to myself, why are we trying to remove something from someone? You know, two or three things can be true in the same vein. You know, there are several months where we have the month is this month and the month is this month. We're celebrating this month. And so we have five things we're celebrating this month. Why can't we celebrate Pride and be left alone? Like,
Mhm.
how is that impacting you? If anything, Pride Month in certain cities is the biggest financial uptick for that month for that city. So from a financially responsible perspective, which is what you know Republicans are mostly about,
Mhm.
there that you should be championing that. Yes, please, let's have that because now we can bring in more taxes and all this. They don't see it that way. It's all about keeping the nuclear family together. And it's like, we're not coming into your house and ripping you from your couch and in your bedroom and saying, this is now you have to drink the rainbow Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Do you, but also let us do us, right? Let us be who we want to be. Let us be happy at the end of
Yeah.
the day. So I do think that there are a lot of opportunities, conversations that I have on a podcast where I'm trying to explain the LGBTQ perspective and how that impacts us and how those that are non-queer move through the world without that exposure because they don't have a gay best friend, which everyone should have. And they don't have exposure to the LGBTQ community to be able to say, okay, it's not who I am, but I understand it and I support it.
Mhm.
So it makes sense to me that we need to fight back on some of these laws and some of these rules and some of the expectations because that starts at kids in middle school. The books they're burning, and you can't say Happy Parents Day or instead of Mother's Day or Dad's Day or something. That's a whole different conversation. But we grow up being trained into what we love and what we don't love. And as adults now, as parents, we get an opportunity to say, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
Let's unwind that and reset it correctly.
And I think we just have to be patient. I can feel a change starting to come. So we'll just have to keep the hope and be
Well,
patient.
you're
There's going to be
you're
a
in
change.
Canada.
Yeah, but we don't know. I follow everything. And it's really hurting me. And I have to be careful to what I can scroll down on social media and everything because it's really tough. And it's starting to happen here. It started actually in Alberta. They're going exactly the same in one province. So we have to be aware. So, but at the same time, I starting to see like in the rest of the world also like some positive changes, and I think we just have to keep the hope and that the change is coming soon. I mean, there's always the up and down, and I think it's starting to get better. Hopefully, I'm really hopeful. So,
I'll take that prayer and run with it. I'm an internal optimist, so I do think in about 2 years' time or so, we'll start to see a lot of this unravel as we start to restore our mental craziness. I mean,
mhm.
the world is, for lack of a better term, sick. And I do think there is an ebbs and flow. We are healing ourselves globally. We'll get back to where we were and go further. It's just this is the way, as the Mandalorian says.
And there was one more thing with that question that I wanted to ask you. What is the biggest change that you realize being a dad, like with being with your son? Is there something you realized about yourself? You went, oh my God, I can't believe that I was not expressing this, or I learned something about myself. Is there something like that really comes out?
So I will say I have aha moments like once a month, but I think one of the bigger one is I thought I had a lot of patience as an individual, and I quickly found out that I don't. Um, and it's something that I always work on, and I am very upfront with my kid too. I will
Mhm.
let him know, hey, I am working on patience. You're working on this. I'm working on patience. Please, I apologize for my blow up or raising my voice, or I'm working on patience, you're working on, because I don't want him to think like he's the only one working on something and everybody else is rocking through the world fine.
Yeah.
Yes, your parents are humans. We're human. We grew up, as kids too. We spent years learning to be who we are today.
Hmm.
And I think one of the biggest challenges is as adults, we expect our kids to be at an adult level on certain things, and that's not the case. So it's hard for us every day to have to go, no, 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 he's not there yet. We need to. It's a process. I think also on a monthly basis, I always have to take a pause and say, you know, my expectations need to be tempered. The repetitiveness of having to deal with kids is part of the process. And then every now and again, I'm like, wait a minute, I was like that. I used to have to take out the trash, and my parents were chasing me to do it. And
Yeah.
here I am, doing the
Mhm.
same thing. So it's par for the course. We forget these things because we don't exist there anymore. And
Mhm.
then when we are reminded that he is doing the thing that you have taught him to do, because you always have an attitude, therefore he always has an attitude. He's learned that from you. So it's like,
Mhm.
okay, now I got to change my attitude so that he can change his attitude.
And I love that you just said, I have to apologize when I do something wrong, because I think that's the biggest gift we can teach our kids, to be able to look at themselves and say, "Oh, I did something wrong. I apologize. I congratulate you on that. And I work really hard on this too." And I think it's so important for us to be able to do that. I think that's the biggest gift we can give our kids.
Well, it builds on trust, right? To say my parents are humble enough to admit when they're wrong.
Yeah.
Therefore, I should be humble enough too to admit when I'm wrong, and can raise my hand and say so. What I will say, adding on to that, is for those that are listening, every now and again, right, there are opportunities where your kid may make an error, right? They broke something in the house, or they scratched something that they weren't supposed to, and it's a big deal, right? In that moment, you have 15 seconds to decide whether you're going to go left or right. You're going to go left and blow up, and it's going to be a moment that's going to impact them. And then they're never going to want to bring something to you that's giant in the future. Or you
Mm.
can go right and go, hey, I get it. It was an error. It was an accident. Yes, this is expensive. Yes, this is big. But you know what? We're going to fix it. We're going to forget about it. We're going to move forward. I'm not saying you should do that every single time, but there's a time and a place to do that. And
Yeah.
I had that recently, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna take the forgive and forget route. Cause and then you could see it. He walked away like, whew, like, oh my God, I thought this was gonna be the end of days, and it's not. So I think that again gives trust and says, yes, you can come to me with these hard moments, and not every time will you get an explosive event.
Yeah. Excellent. How do you set healthy boundaries as a father while also staying true to your identity and values?
Wow. Okay, so I think it's very easy to get lost in fatherhood, right? And that becomes your identity moving forward. I like to always, and my podcast has helped me greatly because I have conversations with people much like yourself, and we're talking about what you do or who you were before you were a dad, right? Those are
Mm.
exciting times. We could get up and travel, and some of us went, we did parties and our friends. And when you become a dad, some of that takes a backseat. For a lot of us, all of it takes a backseat because we're so excited to have kids and we're really trying to pour a lot into them. I think it's always important to find the right balance and recognize that your individuality adds to being a dad. And so does your husband. Their individuality adds to being a dad. And it's kind of like that circle, right? In the middle is where we've got the kid, right? But if you
Mm.
lose yourself in all of that, then you've almost kind of taken on a different identity that's not quite yourself. And then you can't do self-care,
Yeah.
right? You can't do that external look to see, are you doing okay? Are you focusing? How are you doing at work? Are you, taking the right time? I think boundaries are important. I just came back from vacation myself. We went to St. Thomas. One of my boundaries is when I'm on vacation, I am on vacation. Like, please work. We're not curing cancer. So whatever it is can wait. It's urgent. It's urgent. It's not urgent for me because I am on vacation. So I
Mm.
try to instill that type of boundary with my kid as well. Um, just as a as a regular person, I tend to be pretty good with boundaries. My friends know what to expect from me, what I'm into, what I don't like, what I don't appreciate, what I'm excited. My husband is aware of that as well. So is my kids. So we're always being very clear about what boundaries are. Hey, that thing over there, I'm not down for that. So let's not even go there. Don't bring it up. Not interested. Um, that's kind of hard to do with kids because they love to press boundaries and
Mhm.
push boundaries. And sometimes the boundaries I set, I have to then change and go, okay, this is an adult boundary. This is not a kid boundary.
Mhm.
So I always struggle with trying to hold my ground and say no, no, no. But it's like, why are you saying no? Is that reason still valid? And does it apply to your family, or is that more of an external boundary? So
Mhm.
I'm always having those conversations with myself, trying to make sure I'm always separating my adult brain from my kid brain.
So am I. So am I. And my husband is so much more. Sometimes he'll say, I think you're a little bit hard right now. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And then I'm like, yeah, yeah, you're right. I'm being me too much a little bit. I have to calm down. So it's good to have a husband too, huh, that can like balance,
Well,
you
tell me
know?
about it. I get it from my husband all the time, and he all the time he's correct. He's like, Dude, that doesn't make any sense to me." And I'm like, you know what? Now that you mention it, it doesn't make any sense to me either. But
Yeah.
thank you for. He taps me on the shoulder. He pulls me out of conversations. Hey, that conversation is getting a little crazy. You step away. I got it. Now, what I will say to that is my strong suit, right? Having a husband that trusts you enough to be able to have that conversation with you without it being an issue, like, hey, you're being
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now, the people that don't have partners, those are the ones I take my hat off to because how do they do it? Right. So it's like you have to be so strong internally to be able to say, wow, I flew off the handle because I
Yeah.
don't know I can do it to myself.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true. That's so true. If someone listening right now dreams of becoming a parent but feels afraid because of their identity, what would you want them to hear today?
I would say it's valid to have that fear, but I would also say that can also be a strength because I think it's very rare in life that we're in a position where we just know who we are, what we're doing, and we are just so confident about every single detail that exists today. There are opportunities for us to feel uncomfortable, and that is an opportunity for change in the right direction. I think being uncomfortable or not so confident are opportunities. Now, how we take those are, we're all different. Some of us rise to the occasion. Some of us it takes a little bit to warm up to it. Others run from it. And those are all natural human reactions. But when you have a community around you, when you have podcasts like this one to listen to and go, okay, this person is also exuding this type of situation. So it's not just me, because I think a lot of people feel like it's just me. I'm the only one experiencing this.
Hmm.
You're not. We're
Mm,
all human. There's nothing new under the sun, right? We just have to
yeah.
find the community and the people that are existing in our space that can say, hey, I've done that. Here's how I did it. It may not work for you the same way, but I've done it, you know? So listen to Steph's episode number 2 and number 3 and number 4. You'll find 3 different ways that people did that thing that you're concerned about. Pick one.
Hmm.
I'm oversimplifying, but at the same time, there are people out there that are willing to listen and understand, and mental health and all that stuff, therapy, having conversations with people that don't reside in your house and may have a bias and can really call you on your BS, for lack of a better term,
Mm,
helps with that as well. So there's strength in representation.
yeah. Great. Well said. Well, Jamel, thank you so much. It was great to finally have you on the podcast. All the information about you is going to be in the bio. And where can we find you?
Fathernetics is on Instagram at Fathernetics. And then, of
Mhm.
course, we're online at www.fathernetics.com. We have episodes that land every Thursday on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, everywhere.
Everywhere.
And we welcome people to interact. We want to hear your thoughts, your opinions, your comments. Feel free to engage with myself, with Steph on this episode, on all of our episodes. We're trying to build a community, and by having
Yep.
people listen and engage is how we expand and make sure our stories get to other dads that are wondering, is this for me? And guess what? It is.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. So have a good day.
All right.
We'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. As we wrap up today's episode, here's a reminder of the importance of embracing your authentic identity, treating yourself with self respect, and creating healthy boundaries that support your well being. When we choose to live with pride, embrace representation, and build supportive communities, we help create a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive and inspire those around them. Keep moving forward with pride, confidence, and always stay true to yourself. I'm always looking for inspiring guests for the podcast, and I'd love to have you or someone you know share your journey with pride. The world needs your story. It has the power to change lives, and your voice matters. Reach out and send me an email today. Also, I'm now booking keynote speaking engagements. My talk is From Survival to Self Love: How I Finally Learned to Embrace My LGBTQ Identity with Pride, and how you can too. Details at togethermovingforwardpodcast.com under speaking. It is already time to say au revoir just for now. Join me every Monday for brand new episodes of the Together Moving Forward podcast and learn how to embrace your 2S LGBTQI plus identity with pride through self love. Wherever you're from in the world, we are all connected. Remember, solidarity beats hate. The more we unite, the stronger we become. Because at the end of the day, we are all equally human and we all deserve the same rights. Before we close with our weekly positive thought, I want to tell you what this one personally means to me, especially for this episode. I am grateful for the love in my life. For me, this is a reminder that love comes with many forms. It's the love we have for ourselves, the love we share with our family and friends, and the love we build through the communities that support us. This conversation with Jameel reminds us that when we embrace who we are, lead with authenticity, and surround ourselves with people who accept us, love becomes a source of strength. It's that love that helps us grow, overcome challenges, and create a life where we and those around us can truly thrive. Now is the time to put your hand on your heart and repeat after me. Yes, you and me together. This week, positive thought. I am grateful for the love in my life. Yes, I am grateful for the love in my life. From shame, guilt, silence, and rejection to pride, freedom, healing, and love. Together moving forward. Thank you so much for being here with me today and for sharing this journey of growth and love. I truly appreciate you. See you real soon. Ciao. Do you know anyone in the LGBTQ plus community who feels disconnected from their true self, wishing they could embrace their identity with confidence and pride? Share this episode now and help them step into self-love and self-respect so they can truly celebrate who they are with pride, feel empowered, and make a real difference in our community.